Well, hello and good morning or good whatever time you're watching this. This is part of our Fruits of the Spirit devotional. My name's Kevin Murray, Director of Youth Ministry, and I am talking about gentleness, the fruit of the Spirit, gentleness, which when I told my family that gentleness would be the one that I'm focused on, they had a good laugh with that. So hopefully I'll be able to channel some biblical insight, maybe more than my personal practices, maybe at home. But I want to start out by reading Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verses 22 through 32. And that begins with Jesus talking to his disciples. Not a surprise, but I'll go ahead and read that passage for us. Jesus said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than the clothing. Consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap. They have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them. Of how much more value are you than the birds? And can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your span of life? If then you are not able to do so small a thing as that, why do you worry about the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, you of little faith? And do not keep striving for what you are about to eat and what you are about to drink, and do not keep worrying, for it is the nations of the world that strive after all these things, and your Father knows that you need them. Instead, strive for his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." Thanks be to God. Well, when we look at this story, especially in relation to gentleness, I think it's helpful first to talk about what exactly does gentleness mean, maybe in how Galatians 5, verse 23 uses it in particular. And the Greek word for gentleness is parutes, and in Greek that means meekness or gentleness, especially in combination with the next fruit, which is self-control. You get the idea, or self-control or temperance. You get this kind of vision of how one might be in control or balance as related to gentleness. And that's actually Aristotle's, how he sees this word parutes is in his definition. Parutes is something, he says something like, parutes is the mean between being angry all the time and being angry not at all. It's very much this kind of center yourself, balance, and control, which is why I love this Luke story in particular, because it's the story in Luke is truly about fear, addressing fear, the disciples' fear as they're following Christ. Fear is, of course, our human tool for survival, but fear also pushes us out of balance, sometimes to the point where we lose that control. We might call it, we lose our head. And so this fruit of the Spirit, gentleness, if we're thinking about it in terms of how do we practice it in a spiritual practice, we'll call it a prayer of intention, particularly around how we treat our loved ones around us. And, we think about, family, loved ones, and when we take that prayer of intention, you show love by keeping your head and keeping it particularly around the ones you love the most, or you say you love the most, and you would follow that up with action. To show love is not not necessarily to hide from the world or ignore the world. It's to not let the world, when it beats you down, then you turn and then you lose your head and then beat down your family. You take your anger and frustration out on the ones that are closest to you and you love the most, because the world is hard, it's competitive, and it's fighting for survival. It's fighting for basic needs, like we're talking about in Luke. And nations spend their entire effort and identity around attaining those things and fighting for those things. And it can be a brutal place to live, this world, sometimes. And so you just take that kind of hostility that the world pushes on you. Gentleness is about keeping your head, keeping that balance, keeping control of that fear that's innate and everywhere, and that like will to power. That idea of I must get this thing in order to express myself. And it's more about thinking about who's around you, about keeping that balance and self-control so that you are able to show love and show maybe that kindness, fill in the blanks for all the rest of the fruits of the Spirit, show that compassion for those closest to you, so that you are a balanced refuge from the world. And that's what Christ is calling us to do as we follow Christ into a very frightening and often dark place. But when we think about what Christ's light means in those dark places, we think about keeping our head. And then when we are clothed, God clothes us with righteousness, with Christ's righteousness, so we don't have to worry or fear. We're able to keep our head in that balance. We're able to show that gentleness and love of Christ to those who we love the most, and hopefully to the whole world as well. So amen to that. And I hope you enjoyed this video talking about gentleness. Thank you.